Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you will, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The record can reflect that all board members are present. It's time for the adoption of the agenda. I am aware of two things that need to change, if you will make note of. Under school operations, item number 3, last line that reads from bond funds should read from federal funds. And on school operations, number 5, again, last line, ARP ESSER 3, insert homeless Roman numeral 2 funds. Any other changes that we need to make?
Move for approval. Second.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. The agenda is approved as amended. Consent agenda. All of the following items, those items of a routine nature normally approved at board meetings, will be approved by one vote unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items. The consent agenda consists of the discussion, consideration, and action on the following items. Those items being items A through triple E, which for those of you keeping score at home, I believe that's 57 items. But we're more than welcome to go through each one if you like. No, seriously, if there are any of these that we do need to discuss, please, let's do so.
Move for approval.
Second.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well. Information reports, USPA report, UCTA report.
It's summer.
Yeah. That's a good report.
We'll move on to hearings and correspondence. Any communications we need to be made aware of? Opportunities for comments from the audience regarding the agenda. No speakers for that. Moving right along to the business agenda. Item A under instruction. Consider and take action on school-based services agreements with Oklahoma Department of Human Services for 3 school-based social workers in the total amount of $115,000 from general funds. Mr.
Good evening, Dr. Hartzler, President Kinnear, members of the board. We would ask that you renew our service agreement with Oklahoma DHS. We partner with them by paying half of their salary for 3 school-based social specialists, school-based specialists. Just a little bit of data here. We served over 400 families this last year in our district, everything from SNAP benefits, sooner care, basic needs, truancy support, medical needs, counseling needs, child welfare, grandparents raising grandkids. Just a very hopeful program that we have, and we just ask that you renew that contract for this year.
Move for approval. Second.
Any discussion, questions? Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well.
Thank you.
Consider and take action on the expenditure of up to $125,000 from the general fund to purchase textbooks and software for the 2022-2023 school year. Ms. Calvin.
Good evening, President Kinnear and Dr. Hartzler, board members. This is my annual request for purchase of student textbooks and software for students to support the curriculum. I am requesting $125,000 out of general fund. This is our leftover money from this school year out of this textbook fund. and we would like to spend that next year. The bulk of our purchase this year, this coming school year, is for reading, language arts in elementary, pre-K, all the way through 5, and it costs a lot of money. So we have our remainder money, and I am soon going to ask you for another request here in a minute.
Move for approval.
Second.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Romelman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Consider and take action on the expenditure of up to $950,000 from bond funds to purchase textbooks and software for the 2022-2023 school year.
Again, this is my annual request for student books and software for the same. It will not only cover our reading adoption for elementary, it also covers books, replacement books for secondary, additional replacement books for elementary in all subject areas. This is $950,000 from the 22 bond.
Move for approval.
Second.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well. I'll just add, I really appreciate the way that you all have strategically used both general funds and bond funds to maximize the use. Thank you. Consider and take action to approve the capacity levels and the calculated open transfer capacity amounts as recommended. Dr. Nelson.
Yes, President Kinnear, Dr. Hartzler on board. This is the quarterly transfer capacity determination that the board is asked to approve. It will be posted before July 1st on the website. You can see that we do not have a lot of capacity that we feel is available, and it's primarily because we're still trying to staff the positions that we have. And so we don't believe we're in a position where we could confidently say to you, we're going to have room for more. So this is based on replacing all current posted positions. That would allow little pockets of numbers throughout the elementary schools, and just a little bit at 6th, and about 51 students at 7th grade that we would theoretically have capacity for. It's a little bit of an unknown. You know, we're moving into summer enrollment. It's hard to say exactly which grade levels will increase, decrease, et cetera. So it's an estimate, very conservative, based on what we are rolling forward. Of course, some students have already unenrolled while others are enrolling. Just a little update on the transfer process in general. Most of our transfers are employee children. And with the update in the law, we can do what we had set out to do in the first place, and that is to include not just certified or teacher employees, but our students, but as well our support staff students. So those students are all being rolled forward as transfers this year, and then they will be considered part of our union family without having to reapply for transfers or any of those types of situations. We do have 66 students from out of district that have been placed in the district. So most of our transfers, like I had said, are either employees, children, or students whose parents moved out of the district, but they asked to stay. There's about 100 of those. Only 3 transfers have been denied, and we have about 75 students that are waiting for spaces, mostly in pre-K and kindergarten, and then a little bit 1st through 12th grades, about 26 students. So, those are waiting now. They can either fill these places that we will post. They're not big changes from where we've been, so I think these students, we're waiting to see. And on pre-K, we're getting our neighborhood students enrolled first, and then we can look at our staffing situation and make a determination whether we can add those additional pre-K students. And if we can, we certainly would make them union lifers if they can drive their students here. So. Any questions?
Comments, discussion?
You've kind of addressed it already, but like we have a lot of negative capacity at the high school. That is just, we're not waiting to fill positions. We're not trying to make that number go down, are we? I mean, it looks like we don't have enough.
Right, so the
teachers at high
negatives
school.
basically show that we have more students than places. We have 19 staff members that we're still trying to hire at the high school right now, as I heard this morning. So this is based on, yes, the estimates of the class sizes with the current situation where, and you can see our average English classes. If all of our students are coming back, this is where we'd be. We don't have capacity for others, so. I hope I answered that question?
Yeah.
Okay.
General comment, throw up for discussion or advice here. First of all, I don't take exception to anything. I know this is an evolving process. We were at a point where we had to put something in print by state law, and we did. And so I think we're still trying to adjust to it. This is my comment. I'd like to see us be as accommodating as we can, but certainly not find ourselves in a position of either being criticized for taking a transfer, because when a number say we couldn't, or the other way around. So I guess a long way of saying I'm hopeful that this is more of a guideline. Yes, it's a policy, but it doesn't lock us into situations where we can't accept, won't accept, or vice versa, will automatically accept.
Right. And I think we are operating with that happy medium right now. And as you said, President Kinnear, this is an unknown. We've not gone through this through a summer with the new transfer policy in place and the state law in place. So we will learn from this summer. It will set us up to know how to be more strategic, as we always are at Union, next spring with regards to
Ms.
this.
Romerman's point, though, is very valid. If we put something out there that shows negative capacity, it basically says there's no way in the world we can accept
Right.
one.
Actually, when we post these, we put 0 on the website. We don't put negative numbers. It's just for you to have the full perspective
Right.
on the status of the situation. So this is your board report. If you prefer that we don't, I can
Yeah.
remove that and put a 0 on the,
Yeah,
report to you,
I guess
so.
I'm less concerned about what the numbers say, more concerned about whether, because it is, quote, a policy, it locks us into a behavior. And that's where I get my concerns, so. I think as long as we are comfortable that it still gives us room to operate as we see fit, I'm fine.
Okay.
And
And-
I'm not going to take exception to what we have here. As we get closer and closer to actually having to make decisions, I'd like for us to not be completely hands tied with whether we can or cannot accept transfers.
well, we'll be back in August again to update this. And we did have room at the high school this spring. So if the same situation returns to us, we'll have fresh numbers to post and can certainly take transfer students at the end of the summer. So,
Does that make sense, what I'm, okay.
Yeah, I think right now, because this is such a new, not only policy, we're still trying to operationalize this, and Dr. Nelson, I think, said it best, that I don't feel like, and I don't think his staff feels like, that it's putting us into a position or a corner where it would be a steadfast, absolutely not, in
Right.
other words. We want to try to accommodate any student or family that would like to call Union home. But at the same time, we do really need to analyze this and look at, our staffing ability.
Sure.
And as we all know right now in Oklahoma, this is historic also. We're still, we are really dealing with a very serious acute teacher shortage
Sure.
right now. And I'm hopeful that that will get better sooner than later, but I think I feel pretty good about where we stand, and I've not sensed at all that they have felt like that it's just an absolute no when we've had requests come into the district.
And the numbers at the secondary level in particular are estimates only, based on rolling students forward with existing staff. We have some larger populations that are moving up from the 9th and 10th grade and so on. So those are affecting what you see. And we actually could, if necessary, come back in a month even and ask you to approve revised numbers if we see a different situation. Because certainly if we have room and can accommodate students that have demonstrated good attendance and behavior from out of the district, we certainly would want to bring them in, as we have with many so far, 60-plus students. So.
Very good. Thank you.
I mean, to be honest, if we had huge openings, we would not be doing our job as a district, because you can't really build a budget with giant gaps in your student population.
Right.
That's fiscally irresponsible.
Yep.
That's great.
It's a catch-22.
Yes. Yes. I entertain a motion.
Move for approval?
I'll second.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Romerman,
Yes.
Dr. McNeil,
Yes.
Ms. McAdams.
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well. Consider and take action on the purchase of a software subscription for scholastic literacy at 3-5 digital resources from Scholastic Digital Resources in the amount of $101,643.75 from bond funds.
So, President Kinnear, these are the funds you just discussed the strategic use of. This purchase will use those bond funds to provide the digital aspect of the English language arts adoption, or also known as the reading adoption, for 3rd through 5th grade. The digital resources allow teachers to assign books to students to read online. There will also be hard copy or printed books for students. That's the next item. But this brings a balance to that, and teachers can assign books according to students' interest and their reading ability, and then based on students' responses and assessments, they're able to then look at some particular instructional needs of the students. So our teachers that reviewed this program and selected it are very excited about this digital piece in particular. So.
Move for approval.
Second.
Dr. McNeil,
Yes.
Ms. McAdams.
Yes.
Ms. Romerman,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Consider and take action on the purchase of scholastic literacy leveled book rooms in the amount of $587,926.50 from federal funds.
Yes, I recommend the board approve the purchase of the leveled book rooms, also from Scholastic. This is for our 3rd through 5th graders. I would note that the libraries include books that can serve from the kindergarten level all the way to 6th grade level. There are about 6,240, I guess that's exact, books in each level library. There are 1,040 books that are in groups of 6. Teachers will use these books to do small group instruction that they will, as a part of their diagnostic practice, assign students into these groups, and then the level library makes it very efficient, very convenient to go to the book room and select the books. They're bagged together in a very neat, orderly way, use those books with the small groups, and then return them when they're done, so that they have a very systematic way of providing instruction exactly as students need it, as they're growing and progressing at the levels that the students are in the particular skills that the books are assigned to help address. It's authentic literature, so it's not just canned to teach a skill. It's from a wealth of widely known authors, and so the books are of high interest, even though they're also categorized to help provide for certain needs. So this, again, is a high-quality library that we expect will be put to very good use. There are 14 book rooms that Ochoa will get 2 for their student population. So.
Move for approval?
Second.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
The chair votes yes.
Thank you.
Consider and take action to approve revisions to board policy number 1600, technology utilization. Mr. Borland.
Yes, good evening. This is a slight modification to the existing board policy. All it's really doing is making a formal policy where we accept digital signatures on a few digital copies that we have. So just a few digital forms we use, but it makes it legal for us.
Move to approve?
Legal is good.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Thank you.
Consider and take action to approve revisions to board policy number 4060, substitute teachers. Mr. Logan.
President Kinnear, members of the board, we also have a small change we'd recommend for board policy 4060. As we have our board policy that says currently that all substitutes will be employed directly through union. With the addition of ESS last month, we feel we need to change board policy to allow us to employ substitutes through a third-party provider as well, so that we can be legal when it come this fall.
Move for approval.
Second?
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Under personnel, consider and take action to name the program director of English learning.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to make a recommendation. Amy Smith, if you were here, please stand up. To recommend Amy Smith as the program director for English learning. Amy has a bachelor's degree in early childhood education. She also has her master's from Oklahoma State University in educational leadership. She joined Union in 2006 and taught at McAuliffe and Rosa Parks. She was Teacher of the Year at Rosa Parks in 2009 and 10. She served as an assistant principal at both McAuliffe and Jefferson, and she has been the principal at Bovers since 2016. So it's my recommendation and pleasure to recommend Miss Amy Smith as the program director of English learning.
Move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
The chair votes yes as well. Consider and take action to name the principal of Bovers Elementary.
Again, it is my pleasure to recommend Dr. Leedy Smith. Leedy, if you'd please stand. Dr. Smith has her bachelor's of degree in English and Spanish, as well as her master's from Harding University. She also has her doctorate in educational administration from the University of Oklahoma. She joined Union in 2018 and is an administrative intern, has served as an assistant principal at Roy Clark and Ellen Ochoa, and it is my pleasure to recommend Dr. Leedy Smith to be the new principal at Bovers Elementary.
Move for approval.
Second?
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
The chair votes yes as well. Consider and take action to increase sign-on bonuses for qualified certified teachers for the 2022-2023 school year.
Yes, we are very excited that the staff here at Union has done an incredible job to get additional funding for some sign-on bonuses for special education through some additional funds. So with that, we would look to increase special education sign-on bonuses for certified staff to $2,500. And with that change in the funding coming from another source, We are able, through the vision funds, to increase our sign-on bonuses for math, science, and secondary math and science teachers and nurses to $2,000, up from $1,000. So we'd make that recommendation to go forward, effective for this new staff hired for this fall.
Move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Consider and take action on insurance renewals for general liability, auto, and other specified coverages for the policy year beginning July 1, 2022 from the general and building funds, and authorize the Executive Director of Human Resources to sign any associated contracts and initiate payments under the contracts.
Thank you, President Kinnear. This is unfortunately not as much fun as the other ones. But the good news is, with Bank First, and Sean Shadid is here with Bank First representing and can answer any questions you might have. But they've done an incredible job. While we've increased our property values in over almost $50 million with the upgrades in addition to the stadium, property insurance has gone up incredibly over the last few years, and we ourselves had a $2.4 million claim the previous year, which doesn't help. Josh, what was it called? Pipe-a-palooza? Pipe-a-palooza. Which, yes, if you've seen some of the pictures, that couldn't have been any fun. But the good news is, through the work with Bank First, they were able to come up with a new program, assigning us with three other schools in the state. But it is full insurance. It's not a pooled plan. But with that, they were able to increase our property limits, a shared property limit, to $1 billion between the four schools. So that increases the availability for money should anything unforetold happen. And it also decreased our rates, which is incredible for us. Our rates increased. In the board memo, it says they have not locked. They actually will be locked with this board meeting if it's approved. At 7.9% increase total for all insurance, which is incredible since most districts are getting between 15 and 20% increases right now, and some even more, which is difficult to try to handle. A couple of other notes. Our auto policy, the cost did go up a little bit, but we have added additional autos with it. And our workers' comp continues to go down with the safety team and Melissa and Christine. Christine's great management of our workers' comp. She does an incredible job taking care of our employees and making sure they're working as safe as they can. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
I have a quick question about the shared limit.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be slightly uncertain. Are those other three schools, we're just waiting for them to vote? They've already signed on?
They have all agreed and are signing on.
Okay.
Yes, so it's not a question anymore. They have all indicated they are presenting that to their board, and that is their recommendation for those schools as well.
Are we the first, though, to bring before the board?
Yes, we are.
And it doesn't affect it at all, because if it's $1 billion, like we're over $500 million, that doesn't affect us at all, it feels like we're the lion's share of that?
Well, the other schools are similar sizes to us.
Okay.
And what they do through the insurance program is they model if there would be a horrific storm. Unfortunately, we've talked about it in our committee that if it would come right down Mingo here in 6th, 7th, high school, stadium, UMAC, that's a lot of money, but even that's probably about 150 to 200 million total for the district. So it would have to be some pretty incredible storms to really hit that type of level. The other nice thing is if something did happen along those ways, federal funds would kick in. The FEMA would come into play if there's such a major disaster such as what happened in Joplin when they lost multiple schools. FEMA did kick in and helped fund some of that through federal funds outside of insurance.
Well, I like the way you described it. It's not fun stuff to deal with, and we've had some fairly robust conversations in our subcommittee meetings about it. I do very much appreciate the job that Sean and Aaron have done. Greatly appreciated. These are tough costs, and I think the ingenuity that has gone into sharing some of this is will bode well for us. And hopefully we never even have to test that, but at least get the benefit through the premiums.
Move for approval.
Second.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
The chair votes yes as well.
Thank you.
Consider and take action on the renewal of the milk, dairy, and juice bid and to award the bid for produce for the 2022-2023 school year and approve associated blanket purchase orders for same.
Good evening. Yes, I would like to ask the board to consider and approve the renewal of the milk, dairy, and juice bid to Highland Dairy, and that's really the only dairy provider in this whole southwest region, so we'd almost have to do that. And then the produce bid to Frontier Produce, and these RQs are for the regular school year 22-23, as well as for summer school right now in July.
Move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Consider and take action on the purchase of Microsoft Office 365 license from Soft Choice Corporation in the total amount of $404,427.60 from bond funds. Mr. Borland.
Yes, good evening. As of almost everything I buy, it seems to be going up and up in price. But this is our Microsoft agreement, so this controls everything we do. All of our email accounts, our server accounts, our domain accounts, our computer accounts, our user accounts. This agreement is kind of what we do in the district. So this is our lifeblood. This is where all of our user accounts are held. Our Microsoft Office license agreements done through this. Our workstation agreements are all done through this, as well as our server.
I'll move for approval.
Pretty much a must-have, isn't it?
My whole group thanks you.
I think we had a motion and a second. Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Thank you.
Consider and take action on the purchase of headphones from Encore Data Products in the amount of $169,860 from federal funds.
Yes, this purchase will provide 17,000 headphones for the district. The kids tend to not be too cautious and safe with our headphones, and they break frequently. So this will provide a headphone for every kid in the district and some staff members that need them.
What type of headphones?
That's Avid 6, 16, and 17. They have a boom mic that come down, the headphones, and it's the one that's approved for all the ACT and AP testing. So it can be used for elementary, high school, whatever we need it for.
They're not Beats.
That was my question.
Yeah, David said no on that, so we tried.
Move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Consider and take action on the purchase of 150 lab computers from Dell in the amount of $163,894.50 from federal funds.
Yes, this will replace 4 business labs at the high school, 1 at the freshman academy. So the computers will be used for remediation and learning loss, as well as the business classes.
Move for approval.
Second.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Thank you.
Consider and take action on the purchase of school buses from Holt Truck Centers in the total amount of $1,804,625 from bond funds and $86,522 from ARP ESSER 3 Homeless 2 funds.
President Kinnear, Dr. Hartzler, board members, I am requesting approval to purchase 17 buses from Holt Truck Centers. That would include 4 special needs buses, 6 route buses with air conditioning. I may need help with the fight over them. 1 activity bus, 4 14+1 route buses, and 2 multifunctional school buses.
Move for approval.
Second.
Yeah, just a general question on the fleet. Is this overall replacement of certain ones or all brand-new additions, combination of both?
The bus, I didn't hear the question.
Really just trying to figure out where these fit in the overall fleet. Additions, substitutions, a combination of both.
They're replacing the ones on blocks out.
Yes, they are. And the 14+1 and the multifunctional school buses are one of our biggest needs. You do not have to have a CDL to drive these buses. You do have to have training, but they're in great demand. They only seat 14 passengers and plus the driver. And so your smaller teams, your smaller academic groups, we're not searching for a driver to take them somewhere. Their teacher or their coach can come over and be trained, and they're off they go.
Very good. I think I have a motion and a second, correct? Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Consider and take action on the extension of contracted services agreement with American Waste Control, Inc. for waste control and recycling services in the amount of $148,000 from general funds. Mr.
Yes,
Boucher.
President Kinnear, Board, Dr. Hartzler, this is our annual request to renew our agreement with American Waste. It is the same amount that we set last year. We are anticipating always the possibility of a fuel increase, but that's written in the contract. It's limited at fuel surcharge is locked at 9%. So we've been very pleased with their service. Any increases in this is usually a result of us requesting more service, but they've also been good about saving us money when we call and say, hey, we would like to not have service at this location for a month because we're done construction, and they'll credit us for that and not charge us. So been very happy with what we've gotten from them. So I ask for your approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Thank you.
Consider and take action to accept the bid for the Grove Elementary HVAC replacement and award the contract to Vision Air Services in the amount of $797,000 from bond funds. Mr. Isaacs.
Yes, President Kinnear, Dr. Hartzler, members of the board. At Grove Elementary, we had, in the older part of the school, we had 4 original large pulse unit systems that have heat exchanger problems. We can't get replacement parts for the heat exchangers. The air conditioning part works fine, but it's a unit that's all packaged together. So we put together a design project and went out to bid to just do a total replacement. We looked at evaluating whether we should repair these units, figure something out, modify them, and it was just much more economical to replace them with a modern air conditioning system that has humidity control for that part of the building. So we took bids, and Vision Air was our successful low bidder for the project. It won't be a short project. With the shortages that are going on, we probably won't see these air conditioning units till next summer. So Josh and I are gonna make it through the heating system on what we have and what we've done so far, but it's just the nature of the business right now. So we got it out as fast as we could. So with your approval tonight, we'll move forward.
Hey, does it be in a year? I'm sorry, that's a good question. Does that lock us in still, or are we going to be subject to some changes?
No, what's happening with manufacturers, if you get the contract awarded, you get the submittals approved, and the purchase orders released with them through the contractor or subcontractor, they're honoring their commitments. So the prices have pretty much stabilized. It's just there's such a backlog of orders and equipment,
Thank you.
so.
Move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. McAdams,
Yes.
Ms. Romerman,
Yes.
Dr. McNeil,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Consider and take action on the CM agreement with Magnum Construction for the playground improvements at Peters Elementary and Rosa Parks Elementary, and to award the construction contracts, assign such contracts to Magnum Construction, Inc. as the construction manager at risk, and authorize the associate superintendent to execute the contracts within the guaranteed maximum price in the amount of $396,939 from bond funds.
Yes, sir. So this is another phase of our playground upgrade program where we're taking out the gravel, we're updating some of the toys, and we're putting in playground mulch and putting in drainage. It requires quite a bit of site work at most of the sites that we've done in the past. At Rosa Parks, all we're doing for now is expanding the ER2 playground, adding some toys to it, some ADA toys, providing ADA access to it, and providing a fence around that little ER2 playground. It's going to get maybe a third larger than it is now, but we're also going to improve it. And then at Peters, it's a total playground replacement, quite a bit of site work. We're going to salvage some of the existing toys, buy a new playground toy for the playground, of course, do the drainage and the playground mulch that makes them pretty much accessible after a 4-inch rainstorm. So that's important, plus the concrete curbing and everything else that goes with them. Similar to what we've done at Darnaby and McAuliffe and Anderson and Bovers. So this is just a continuation of that for the next bond season. So same thing with your approval, we'll get started on that one.
What is that time frame looking like?
So I've learned from the past not to tear up a playground until I have all the toys. So we're going to wait till we get the toys. So they're thinking the procurement lead time is 8 to 10 weeks. So obviously we're going to be starting the school year, so we don't want to mess that up in the beginning. So we're going to accumulate the toys, and we'll probably start in late October, early November on those two playgrounds and kind of do them during that winter season. Hopefully we won't have a lot of snow and bad weather. But we've done that at a couple places, and it's worked out really well. Most school districts are doing their playgrounds in the summer. There's only so many contractors that do this type of work, so Lee and I made a decision a few years ago to try and do it in the fall, and it worked better. So we tore it up, and we had it repaired pretty fast at Darnaby, so we're trying that again, simply because we can't get the toys till September or October.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So how many gravel playgrounds will we have left?
Oh, good question. So, no, not Clark. Let's see. Grove and Cedar. The rest of Rosa? Yeah, the rest of Rosa. Jefferson. So they go for about $150,000 to $200,000 each for the full site work. So.
And what's the approved landing now?
What chapter?
You can do playground mulch, which is what we're converting to from the pea gravel, or you can go to a synthetic surface, turf, rubber. We've explored that. It's pretty expensive right now, so we're back at the playground mulch. The disadvantage that Josh doesn't like about the playground mulch is we have to keep adding mulch to it because it deteriorates. And it's a special mulch. It's rated for playgrounds, so you can only get it. There's 2 manufacturers that make it, one in Arkansas and one in Georgia, and so we have to get it from there, and it's not cheap. It's about, I can tell you what it used to be. It was for 40 yards, it was almost $20,000. So it takes about 3 truckloads to do a playground.
One thing that they do, they're going to is they are cutting down the box sizes.
Yeah.
A little bit, so that we do have less area to keep filled. Because we had a lot of playgrounds, like the boxes were really big, but there wasn't a toy in that area. So that's one of the things when they go in and do drainage.
Yeah, we reduce it down.
It's helpful.
we engineer it, put the fall distances in, so there's safe fall distances around the toys, so you have to make it kind of fit, so.
Move for approval.
Second. Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Thank you.
Consider and take action on the annual blanket purchase order encumbrances and authorize the encumbrance clerk to establish said encumbrances purchase orders for the 2022-2023 fiscal year contingent on the approval and appropriation of the 2022-2023 budgets, and authorize the encumbrance clerk to adjust encumbrances and purchase orders as necessary to pay all utility-related invoices and fuel and freight fees, and increase all other purchase orders by up to 15% without prior approval of the board.
Mr. President, Dr. Hartzler, members of the board, I ask that you approve this recommendation, to this lengthy recommendation this evening, so that when the books are opened in July, we're able to issue the purchase orders and proceed with these services.
Just with the level of detail in the summary, I mean, I don't think we really have an option, so move for approval.
Sounds like it was very well written by a contract specialist.
Second.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Thank you.
Consider and take action on, check that, it says,
21, 22, yeah, finishing out this school year.
okay, thank you. Consider and take action on 2021, 2022 general building and child nutrition budget revisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Hartzler. The first item I have up tonight is our annual revision to the 21-22 general building and child nutrition budgets. In order to kind of simplify my presentation, I'll refer to the spreadsheet that's included with your packet. The 21-22 budget revision is the first highlighted column on the left that's highlighted in yellow, and then the second highlighted column is the 22-23 budget, which is our following item. First of all, though, our recommendation for the revision on the 21-22 budget reflects total revenues in the budget of $138,085,520. This is actually a reduction of $2.2 million. However, that net reduction is made up of a number of increases and decreases. And I'll mention some of the most significant ones. We had an increase in local sources of revenue of $1,696,217. The largest items there were a reclassification of CAP Head Start revenue. Our Head Start program that we service through CAP had previously been classified as a federal program. However, in talking with the Head Start officials, they have ruled that this should be treated as a local program. So that revenue gets bumped up into the local line, it's taken off federal. So that is one change there. We've also seen an increase in revenue in our EDP camps. Fortunately, over the last couple of years, that's been down a little bit, but what we're seeing looks like an increase there, so we are upping the budget for that line item. In the intermediate sources, our formula revenue we're expecting to see about $571,000 there. And likewise, our state aid and various state revenue sources are increasing this current year. We received additional funds in the midterm allocation through the loss of student count at EPIC. Those funds were then redistributed back to school districts across the state. So we were, and many other districts benefited from that. And finally, we have a reduction in federal revenue for this year of $7.3 million. And that is made up of the Head Start revenue that I mentioned earlier. It's a subtraction down here and addition up top. But also some pretty major budgeting changes that we made with our federal ESSER funds. And those changes have been approved by the state, but you may remember us discussing those changes. The first was the virtual desktop program that we had originally incorporated into the ESSER funds. That was $4.5 million. As we learned more about that project and as we learned of the ongoing cost to the district of doing that program, we decided to go in a different direction. And so as you had approved tonight, we are instead purchasing devices. We are hiring a number of interventionists and counselors with those ESSER funds. And so those expenses will show up next year. So again, when we're looking at this significant volume of federal dollars flowing through our district, when we make a change to the budget, and this was a significant change that we made, it really shows up. And this was one that we wanted to make sure we captured on the budget revision. Likewise, the expenditures down below have been adjusted accordingly. I will tell you that our revenue budget, our current forecast is a little bit higher than this, so we expect our revenue to come in high and our expenditures to come in low, which is, if you're a CFO, that's where you want to be. So although we have indicated an increase in the fund balance of $662,000, our projections are quite a bit more than that, a little over $1 million increase to the fund balance. So that'll leave us in a better position at year end and also get us real close to where we are with a conservative adjustment to the budget. I'd be glad to answer your questions.
Move for approval?
Second.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
The chair votes yes.
Thank you.
Consider and take action on the 2022-2023 temporary operating budgets for the general building and child nutrition funds.
What you'll also see on those pages for the general building and child nutrition fund are what we call our temporary operating budgets for 22-23. You'll remember that we approve, that the board approves temporary appropriations back in March. We build a budget around that in June so that we start July 1 with an operating budget in place. However, there is a lot of information that we don't have when we're putting this together. So there were just a couple of adjustments that we made on the revenue side in the general fund. In the general fund, we know that our state aid will be affected by our loss in our student counts from 2 years ago. So we lost about 805 students. Once we calculated that and made the adjustment, and that you'll see that $3 million reduction, well, we put the budget to bed and then began to hear, well, we are not sure what's going to happen with the state aid formula this year because although state aid funding is flat, those chargeables, which are primarily made up of gross production receipts, are skyrocketing. So across the state, gross production collections are nearly double what they would normally be. And that will affect the mechanics of the formula, potentially driving up the factors. We won't know for sure what that's going to look like until July, mid-July. So that may be enough to offset the loss that we anticipated. If so, that will help us and we'll be able to make some decisions. But at this point, we're unsure of our state aid allocation. Of course, we don't know what our ad valorem will look like yet, and we're also carefully watching our student enrollment. So those are the three big variables at this point that as those come into sharper focus and as we receive allocations for all of our federal programs, we'll finalize those budgets and bring that back to you after the estimate of needs is approved. Likewise, for the building fund and the child nutrition fund, For next year, we just made a minor adjustment in the building fund. The child nutrition fund, we had a bit of a decrease with the likelihood of the federal lunch program that we've been operating under for the last 2 years coming to an end June 30th. I know that there's been much discussion about that being extended, but we haven't seen anything yet. So that may affect the child nutrition budget for next year, but they are very well positioned to absorb any changes.
Move for approval.
Second.
Sure.
Would you mind sharing, Dr. Williams, with the board, the variance that we are dealing with in terms of this state aid factor and just how wide it is?
Sure.
Why we've kind of, we're really in a state of just pause right now until we have a
Absolutely, I'd be glad to. When we learned that the appropriations bill line item for the state aid was flat, we basically assumed that factors would remain as they are this year. And what we learned as news broke about the gross production and the potential effect on the factors in the formula, we heard from our professional organizations that, and their latest estimate is that the state aid factors would increase by $162 per weighted ADM, and that's what I heard last week at the conference. If that were to happen, and Dr. Hartzler and I are placing bets, if that is to happen, I'm really hesitant to hang my hat on a projection, but if the factor does go up that much, it could mean between $3.5 and $4 million for our district. It would offset that loss in student counts. So would be a great thing. But however, because of that unknown and the other unknowns I mentioned earlier, Dr. Hartzler and I thought that it made best sense to hold off on our teacher and support staff negotiations, but wait until we had a clearer picture on the budget to see what we were able to do for our employees.
Yeah, the variants are important, the timing too. When would we expect resolution on what that number is?
We'll get state aid notification mid-July.
I just don't recall in recent times such a variance.
This is a very unusual situation.
And none of this is affected by the special session that's being called back in, right?
No.
In theory.
No.
Right. Yeah. Entertain a motion to approve?
I think we did.
We have that? Okay, very good. Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
The chair votes yes.
Appreciate y'all's work on this.
Yes, very much.
So I'm always, you guys often, I think when the budget was in crisis, you guys predicted this shortfall down to that 0.5% or something. Y'all are more reliable than the state.
Thank you.
Consider and take action on the payment of a one-time 2021-2022 retention stipend for work performed during 2021-2022, if funding allows on June 30, 2022, to be paid on specified dates in July 2022 to eligible employees as per the allocation plan, terms, and conditions discussed with the UCTA for certified teachers, the USPA for eligible support employees, and as recommended by the superintendent for administrative, associate, exempt curriculum coordinator personnel classes, with funding from the 2021-2022 general, building, and/or child nutrition funds as deemed appropriate by the chief financial officer based on available resources as of June 30, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Kinnear. This is our recommendation for a one-time retention stipend for our full and part-time employees. This is, again, one time, is not to be considered part of the base salary in any way, shape, or form, but it is a 5% on-base stipend to be paid out electronically on July 15th, which we have since COVID started doing and has been really well received by our employees. Everyone is just as happy to get an electronic payment as they are to get a hard check. For those employees who started working for the district this year, if they started after July 1st, but before February 15th, their stipend would be prorated 5% on their earnings for the year, on their base salary. We do have a process for any appeals, as we've had for a number of years. Those appeals are filed with the Human Resources Office by August 19th. And I can tell you, we met with UCTA, we met with USPA. Both groups are deeply, deeply grateful to the board for consideration of this stipend.
I just want to say, I mean, similar to what Stacy said, you guys do such an amazing job with our budget every year to allow us to even have this as a consideration to be able to give everyone a stipend, which is a wonderful thing to get to vote on. So thank you for the work that, I know it's a whole district effort in how all that runs, and I'm appreciative that we get to vote on something like this because of that. Move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well.
You didn't hear anything. Yeah. She put his
Any new business? No new business?
No new business. Go ahead.
Opportunity for comments from the audience and board members. I've got a comment.
You go ahead, please.
And, you know, again, this is just in the interest, we don't get to talk any other time than here. There's some good things going on at the national level, but you won't hear that or see that if you watch the national news. So I just wanted to highlight what I think are some good things going on with the National School Board Association. And it's very easy to pick on them for some things that happened a year or so ago. Every organization has flaws, but it's, I think, good for an organization to take stock in things that go well, things that go wrong, try to address things that go wrong. So I was very pleased and thought it was a big deal when I heard the new executive director speak to some of the changes that he was making, that they were making as a body. I thought I'd just make you all aware of it because I've been waiting to hear about this, and it gets zero airplay. And in the meantime, more and more states or schools are distancing themselves from the NSBA at a time when I think they are making substantial improvements. So from the OSSBA, Schonheim actually did a good job summarizing this. So good, I'm just going to read a few excerpts. If I tried to summarize it, I'd mess it up. But his comments, which I am in total agreement with. When the National School Board Association announced its new executive director, Dr. John Heim, last November, the organization recommitted itself to the values of collaboration, consensus building, and local decision making. NSBA has followed through with two more important principles: accountability and transparency. It goes on to say, during the most recent national conference, the NSBA Delegate Assembly began addressing issues that needed clarity and redirection, including amending the organization's constitution to refine the scope of its advocacy to a united, nonpartisan national movement, re-emphasizing the principle of local control as a fundamental belief of the organization, and amending its beliefs of NSBA to include NSBA believes school boards must lead through community engagement, particularly with parents and guardians of the students they serve. NSBA urges school boards to encourage and support partnerships between schools, communities, community organizations, families, and local government that bring together critical resources and enhance strategies that help students master academic and life skills and develop civic responsibility and address students' emotional, social, and physical well-being at school and beyond. Those are just some samplings, and like I say, I've just been waiting for somebody to pick that up, and just not going to hear good news. So anyway, wanted to put that out there.
Very good.
Yeah.
Just wanted to take a moment to, we had our Support Employee of the Year recently, and wanted to take a moment just to publicly congratulate Chef Candace Walker, who was chosen as our Support Employee of the Year. And as you all know, our support employees are just amazing, and we could not do what we do each and every day and marching ever so closer to our 100% graduation, college, and career ready goal without our incredible support team. And so thank you to not only all those support employees of the year that were recognized each month, but also to Candace Walker in child nutrition. She does an incredible job. And so we're very grateful for our support employees. So thank you all.
You bet. Any other comments? If no, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. McNeil,
Yes.
Ms. McAdams.
Yes.
Ms. Romerman.
Yes.
Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. We are adjourned.